morning, and welcome back to Daybreak.
Good morning to you, Mark. Good morning,
Aaron.
Right. It's a pleasure being here, and good morning to our viewers to Daybreak. We have just finished Independence celebration, and I'm here basically to speak on an activity that we are staging. The Royal Grenada Police Force is staging at St. David's. As we all know that the Royal Grenada Police Force has somewhat had concerns about the strained relationship that developed lately with the people whom we serve at St. David's. And in relation to that, we have thought it fitting to stage an activity there whereby we can foster a more harmonious working relationship with persons within the community of St. David's.
Okay.
And in so saying, tomorrow, please God, that's Saturday the 11th, we at the Royal Grenada Police Force, we intend to stage an activity at Bellevue Playing Field. That activity is a cultural entertainment activity whereby the police band will be on hand playing music and so forth, doing many different cultural performances like calypso and so forth. Also, a highlight of that event will be an exhibition. We're staging an exhibition with things that our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents used to use back in the days. So we'll have an exhibition with things like the iron, the old-time iron where you put the coals in it, and the ironing comb, and so you will see stuff like that as you come. It's a family fun-filled event. We are inviting all the residents of St. David's to be a part of that event. The event also will see an oil-down competition, an oil-down cooking competition amongst the villagers of St. David's. We have a lot of villagers who will be participating, villagers and persons from different areas of the community. Like we have a few schools taking part. We have a few churches who will be coming aboard and take part in the cooking competition. We have other community groups within the St. David's community that are going to be taking part as well. The Vincent's community group, the sports group, they'll be taking part in the cooking competition and so forth. The entire event is supposed to basically create an atmosphere whereby persons within the community would be afforded the opportunity to speak to some of the senior officers within the force. So it's going to be a real exciting event. It's going to be a family event. We have, as well, I alluded earlier on to cultural performances. We'll have young persons doing the maypole dance.
Right.
I think we're supposed to have some comedians come in and do their bit. It's going to be a real exciting and interesting event, and we are actually inviting, the entire community of St. David's to come and be a part of the event. If you're searching for a place to hang out, if you're searching for a place to really, just be entertained, it's free of charge.
Right.
You can come.
Now, this event is supposed to be a bit of a tension breaker between the Royal Grenada Police Force and the community of the St. David's community.
It is.
What has the relationship? How has events of recent affected the relationship between the officers and the community?
Well, it's public knowledge. There has been a recent incident, or matter of fact, incidences that would have had the potential to, or would have obviously affected the relationship between the police and the community. We at the Royal Grenada Police Force, we are seeking to dispel the whole notion that the police is versus the civilian.
Right.
Police are against civilian. We are seeking to dispel that notion. The police cannot work in isolation. What would have happened back then, it's really unfortunate. Not that we were seeking to underscore what took place. But at the same time, the Royal Grenada Police Force cannot work in isolation in terms of addressing crime and so forth. And so we are seeking to bridge that gap or mend that somewhat severed relationship that had existed between that seemed to have developed between the community and the police, and that event in itself is seeking to really, mend that kind of a affected relationship between the community of St. David's and the police.
I imagine it needs some much needed mending right now.
It does. The thing is, if we as police officers are seeking to effectively address crime, I think I mentioned that earlier on, we cannot act in isolation. And the thing is, if we are searching for information, it is very said community that we rely upon for those information to solve crime. The mandate of the police force is to ensure that law and order is adhered to, is to also create a stable society that is conducive to investment and conducive for peaceable living and so forth. And so that incident would have kind of caused people to look at the police in a bad light.
Right.
And so persons would be afforded the opportunity to even hold social dialogue with senior officers of the Royal Grenada Police Force. The whole event will lend itself to that. There are a lot of artists within the force, like calypsonians and so forth, who will be expected to make guest appearances and sing different calypso songs, do different performances and so forth. It's going to be a nice event, a family fun-filled event. And so we are inviting everyone within the community of St. David's to come out at Bellevue Playing Field. Bellevue, that's very close to the police station. As I said, the police band will be there. There'll be different cultural performances by different artists. We'll have kids doing that maple dance and so forth. It's going to be a bumper event, if I should say so. I don't want to really sound redundant, but it's going to be an event that is hyped with a lot of interest. Oil and cooking competition. We want to see which village or which group will emerge best in terms of that oil and cooking competition.
Right.
What time is the event?
The event starts at 3 o'clock, so it's an evening, afternoon kind of a event. So you probably would have done your work during the course of the morning and so forth. You need a place to really bring the kids and so forth, be entertained. It's a big playing field. People will have the privilege of running around and just enjoying themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
what time should it go until?
the time it may go up to 9, 10 thereabout. The thing is,
so
the moon is high at this present time, and so what do I say? Sakitan Palilot.
Okay.
Who here tell the rest?
Alright, a nice little piece
a bit of patois,
Alright.
a bit of patois.
So
The thing is,
and I noticed that you said they want to bring the coal iron and the coal trying to create a feeling of nostalgia as well within the event.
Definitely. This event was supposed to take place before the independence, but because of all the activities that we have been encumbered with, we weren't able to really have it before the independence. So the best time agreed to was the 11th of February. That's tomorrow, please God. And even yesterday, I had a call from my colleague in Karaku. She came down yesterday, actually, with many stuff of interest, many things of interest, many items of interest to lend itself to intrigue and the whole bit of nostalgia. You'll see things that will bring back certain memories in your mind that will leave you thinking and maybe remembering your loved ones and how they used to maybe put coals in that iron to iron your clothes to go to school, etc., etc., etc.
Right.
The ironing comb, you remember you put this ironing comb on the coal pot, the ladies, and pass it through your hair and see steam going out, I see my sister using that,
Okay.
So there will be a lot of items that we used to use. They have become obsolete now that we used to use that will be on display. And so by and large we have had overwhelming support from persons whom we have engaged to really be a part of this, the community groups within St. David's. As well, I would like to make mention of the business community. The business community within St. David's have thrown their support overwhelmingly behind the Royal Grenada Police Force because they themselves see it as something that is really needful.
Right. I was about to ask because you said it's free of charge. So I was gonna ask if you have any sponsors.
Yes, we actually do have some sponsors. I cannot mention all of them, and by no means I do want to diminish those who or reduce them in any way that would have sponsored if I do not mention the name. But we have received overwhelming sponsors from persons like McQueen's gas station in Crowshoe. We have received sponsors overwhelmingly so from Grenada Marine, that's in Corinth St. David's, even Nature Center, Las Vegas Nature Center, that's a hotel down there. We have also received overwhelming support from the Wester Hall supermarket and bakery, and a number of other individuals, including Dr. Mitchell, who is within the area of St. David's as well. You know, so it's going to be a real interesting event. Even those who are in St. George's or maybe Grenville, as the case may be, we are extending an invitation to you. Come on, let's socialize as police and civil society, persons within civil society. We do not want to create that image of the police being authoritative, heavy-handed, and so forth. There are incidences that do occur and need addressing, and they will be addressed. What I can say is that the Commissioner of Police, in his inaugural speech, when he took office, he mentioned certain things about community policing, and he has seen the need for the police bridging that gap in order to really ensure that we stay on top of crime and really and truly have a peaceful and stable society. And so it is in that vision we are staging this activity.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
How have the officers in St. David's been dealing with the situation? What's it been like for them recently?
What I do know is that, as the commissioner would have mentioned, they would have had some transfers and so forth. So there's been some new officers placed there, both administratively and the flow staff and so forth. So you know, the officers who would have been there at that unfortunate incident have all been transferred and so forth. So we do have new officers there. It more or less gives the whole operation a new outlook in terms of dealing with different people and so forth, you know. And the officers at the St. David's police station, they are also high in terms of supporting this incident. So we are working in collaboration with them. We cannot police in isolation.
Right.
It's often said that we are trying to push forward the whole thing about holistic policing, you know, and so St. David's police station will be coming along with us and so forth, rapping with the people, getting to know who you serve. We are a service entity, and so we have to try and show people that face that we are not here as the authority to bulldoze you. Yes, we may be like your big brother to scold you sometimes when you go wrong and so forth, but it's all for all good intents and purposes.
all right.
So,
All right. Well, thank you, Constable Douglas Roberts.
want to extend an invitation to Daybreak. Maybe you can visit the event, and maybe you can highlight some of the happenings and so forth up there on your probably next telecast and so forth, maybe on the internet, you know.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. And probably we'll be happy to come back here and probably give a postmortem of the success and so forth.
Absolutely. So we have some nostalgic things for the grown folks. Of course, a little history lesson for the kids. You know, socializing,
Definitely.
chatting. You know,
Definitely.
trying to create a bond between the police and the St. David's community. A nice moonlit evening.
Amen.
It sounds like something worth going to. Yeah.
Yes. So make the drive. Make the drive. It's worth it.
Oil down.
It's worth it.
And well done. Yes. Can't leave
And you
that
know
out.
we have the best band in the land, the police band,
Police
the
band.
best band in the land. So you'll be dancing to some live music and so forth. So come along.
All right. Thank you for coming on the show
You're
again.
welcome.
Again, I should
very
say.
much,
You know,
Constable.
no stranger to Daybreak.
A pleasure.
Constable Douglas Roberts.